Okay, I really want to talk about casual gaming or gaming in general because the last 2 weeks have been quite mentally taxing and somewhat stressful. Don't get me wrong, I have this really amazing project at the moment, which also allowed me to travel to Poland and edit on set and work on this huge global campaign, which, because it is so huge, requires me to not only do my job as a film editor, but also kind of manage a lot of different edits and tasks and assets and movies that I have to edit. And all of this memorization of, in addition to the work of me as a film editor, I need to basically kind of juggle a lot of things at the same time, which, don't get me wrong, I understand that many of you and many have to do that. I'm just kind of telling you how I feel at the moment. So not only do I edit 1, 2, 3, 4, and in actuality, I think it's like 20 or 30 movies at the same time, not movies, advertisements. And not only do I edit them basically at the same time, but I also have to kind of think about, okay, when there is a change, a revision on this one, how does this affect the other ones? And kind of continuously trying to memorize what I'm doing. This is my job. This is what I've do pretty well and what people hire me for. And so not only the creative part, but also all of this administrative things of kind of handling this much volume because it is a global campaign. But this also means that I do notice, and this is something that you also say about dogs. My wife is a dog trainer. So there is this misunderstanding with dogs where people think, okay, I have been running with the dog for 2 hours, but he or she doesn't seem to be exhausted at all. And then you do something like teaching that dog a trick or go with him on a hunt to kind of find trails and stuff like that. And you do that only half an hour. And then you notice, hold on, my dog is completely exhausted in comparison to basically just in air quotes doing cardio work. And there's a huge difference between and I definitely know all of you know this as well. There's a huge difference of being on a treadmill and just running for cardio or doing something mentally taxing. You are so much more exhausted at the end of the day. Or at least it is definitely also not only exhausting, but it's harder to switch off your brain when you get home because there's still so much circling in your brain. And that's definitely something that I noticed within these last 2 weeks that, the job is extra. And again, I really want to emphasize this is not me complaining because especially in this economy, I'm in a very fortunate position to have this kind of caliber of a job because I have so many friends in this industry who are not working at all. So I'm not complaining. Again, this is about what I've experienced and how I kind of relieve this experience. So I come home or I end the day of work and I notice my brain is kind of still spiraling and I'm really exhausted. And I also noticed this in my workout. This is also something that there is a huge misconception when it comes down to rest days. People think, oh, a rest day is just sitting on the couch, while totally neglecting that, yes, you might not have been working out that day, but you have been to work or whatever, and that has been mentally taxing, that you cannot count that day, although you have not gone to the gym or although you haven't done any physical activity. that doesn't count as a rest day. If it's mentally taxing, or it's the same thing as physically taxing, you cannot consider that a rest day. And I did notice that with my workout routine, that I was not at 100% working out whilst doing this job. And one thing that I really noticed, and this is getting back to what I was saying in the beginning, what this video is about, it is about gaming. It is a huge deal. I have been kind of talking about this in many of my previous videos, how I always kind of tell you that playing these games helps me to reset my brain. And I still stand by that, and now even more so, because the last 2 weeks have been huge for me evidence that this actually works. Because as I said, I'm mentally exhausted. I come home and my brain is still spiraling around the job, because there's so many moving parts that I have to remember. And yes, I write everything down, my to-do list and stuff like that. This is actually going to my next video about notebooks. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to see that. And even though I write everything down, I memorize everything, I still am kind of processing what has been going on at work. And I do notice that when I sit down, and this is also something I have been talking about quite a lot, I sit down at the couch and watch, for example, a series, a movie, my brain is still working. It's still kind of in this work mode, and it's not capable to switch off. And suddenly 30 minutes of that series has passed, or that movie, and I'm like wondering, what exactly happened? I don't know. That's maybe a little bit over-exaggerating. It's not to that extreme, but I do notice that I am not able to enjoy that series or that movie as much as in those days where I'm not kind of mentally overloaded. But then I switch on my ROG Xbox Ally, playing Witcher, and now actually playing a completely new Witcher, because I started the Blood and Wine DLC, which is great. Watch the video of my first impression that I did a couple of days ago. And it's a completely new game. And I do notice, and yes, I kind of repeat myself, but it's kind of re-emphasizing in my brain that gaming, casual gaming, open world gaming, especially when there is a story, is such an effective tool. It's so good. It is so much more effective and so much more beneficial than most people or society wants to give it credit to. Huge caveat, and I've been saying this a lot, there's always a flip side. Yes, there are bad examples of gaming, but this is not the video about this. This is how well you can utilize gaming as a tool, especially to relax, and more importantly, to focus again. Again, I'm sitting there at the couch and my brain is still scattered all over the place, and still at work. But when I switch out the gaming device, yes, it might need a couple of minutes to actually switch off my brain, but the game demands its attention from you. And especially if there is a storyline that is captivating. A movie can be captivating as well, but a game with a good story will ask you, hey, in which direction do you want to steer this conversation? And are you prepared for the consequences of your decision, whatever you deciding to tell that person in the game? Oh, you have this quest. Do you want to follow that line? Oh, there's a huge battle going on. I need your attention now. And all of this active decision making, active playing that game is giving you or your brain the opportunity to focus on this one thing, to give that thing your undivided attention, and suddenly your brain switches completely all of that work. Well, maybe not every time, but it is much easier to switch off your train of thought, your workday, and concentrate on the game. And as added bonus, if you actually are able to kind of dive into that game, if it's an open world game, like I'm playing Witcher 3, I did notice today, for example, I started Blood and Wine, and I'm amazed that this DLC is actually a whole different game because you're in a whole different area. And I caught myself walking from one quest to another and just stopping and just like, holy crap, how far can I look here? And how beautiful is this somewhat southern France, southern Italy kind of vibe? You see this river down in the valley, and then there's a castle over there. Am I going there at some point? And it's so marvelous. And I did notice it is somewhat like a micro vacation. Yes, of course, I'm looking at the screen. I'm not there, but it kind of sparks my fantasy. This feeling of, you remember that feeling when you were a kid and playing a game, and were completely diving into that story. You forget everything around that. And I do notice the more I play and the more effectively I utilize this gaming. And I mean that effectively in terms of, not in terms of just playing, or utilizing a handheld gaming device where you can kind of switch it off, go into hybrid mode, switch it on again, and then play from where you left off. I'm not talking about that kind of effectiveness or that kind of utilization, but rather of dedication. If you actually dedicate yourself or allow yourself, okay, I'm just going to dive into the story. I'm just going to look around, and I'm not going to fast travel. I'm just walking here and I'm just looking around. If you allow yourself to enjoy what this game is presenting to you, it will make it so much more effective to kind of switch off your brain and go into this micro vacation, right? And I find it so interesting the more I play, the more I let myself kind of get lost in the story, the more it helps me. And again, it's all about, I mentioned this in 2 videos ago, with everything that you do, it's all about why you do it, with what goal you do it, and in what capacity you do it. Everything, if you do it for the wrong reason, and if you overdo it, it will not be good for you. And society is telling, or not everyone, but I would say the majority of society will tell you gaming is bad for you. And again, there are a lot of examples, but it's the same thing with going to the gym. If you overdo it, if you don't have any rest days, if you train just one thing, you skip leg day, or if you only eat protein shakes and don't kind of balance out your nutritions, that's not going to be good. Society will tell you, of course, if you work out, hey, that's good for you. But if you overdo it, it's not going to be good. If you train to be, I want to look buff and mean or whatever, it's probably not the right reason. But if you train to stay capable the older you get, that might be the better reason. And it's the same thing with gaming. If you game and you tell yourself, like I do, I need this, or I want to utilize gaming as a tool to relax, or during work times as a tool to reset my brain so that I can get back to my task refreshed with focused dedication to the work, because I have a reset and fresh perspective on the work. It's a good thing. And also the quantity. If you do it only for a couple of hours, it's great. Obviously, if you do it the whole day and then neglect your responsibilities, that's not good either. But the same thing with the gym. If you go to the gym 24/7, you obviously will neglect your daily life also. I probably no one will clean your house then, or your where you're living. So same thing. It's with everything. It's all about why, how, and how much. And that's the same thing with gaming. I do it because it helps me to focus, to give something my undivided attention, because we live in a world where we get distracted so quickly, especially when, that's the most terrible thing. The people that are in a movie and switch on their phone, or suddenly, I've seen that, people in the movie set, in the cinema, answering a call because they have an attention span of, I don't know what the word in English is, of a snail or whatever it might be, of a squirrel pumped up with Red Bull. So we lost the ability, A, to get bored, B, to focus, and gaming helps you to in my humble opinion, this type of gaming helps you to focus your attention on one thing instead of being scattered all over the place. So yeah, that was my somewhat recommendation why I believe you should start gaming, and why I personally believe gaming is amazing. And I do believe that gaming, especially the older you get, has a very unjustified negative rep. And yeah, I kind of want to fight that. And I kind of want to give the argument why, especially the older you get, gaming is an amazing tool. One last thing, gaming is also something that hopefully enables you to find your child again a little bit. So I talk a lot about Witcher, but games like Mario Kart, Super Mario, Wario Land on the Game Boy, I play that also. Not only gives me memories of my childhood, but also it lets me be a child again. And I feel like, especially when I talk to other people in my age bracket, and even some that are younger, they are so hell-bent on being an adult, being serious, and not enjoying life. And I feel like that is a sad outlook on life if you forget to sometimes be a child. And it's not about being childish, it's about not taking yourself too serious. It's about exploring, it's about trying out new stuff. And I feel like the older we get, the more likely we are to forget that. And I do feel like that gaming, and especially trying out new games, and also allowing yourself to, again, society considers gaming as childish, as not serious. The first step, just to say, I don't care, I want a game, is a huge step in allowing yourself to be a kid again. And I think that is something that many people lose the older you get. All right, so enough rambling. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this. And maybe check out my video from 2 days ago, where I also talked about Blood and Wine, the DLC, up here. YouTube thinks you like the video down here. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button up here. That way we see each other in the next video. Thank you very much.